Hey there, welcome back to the Smell of Logic channel. I am Ramona, and today's little Reddit story is, what is the strangest thing that's happened to you that you cannot logically explain? I saw a UFO outside my window. Divided by zero once. Have you ever tried asking Siri to divide by zero? It's pretty great. See, I have scars on my back that are unaccounted for. That is pretty strange. They're stretch marks. My little brother has the same. Oh, that's not good. Once I drank half a gallon of milk without realizing. Okay. I got sanitizer under my foreskin and actually felt good. I wish I could go back 5 seconds and choose not to read that comment. So one night I had a dream where I was working out at the gym that I regularly go to. In the dream, I was in the normal spot where I work out, exercising, when all of a sudden the lights in the gym go out. All the TV screens go off. Can't see anything, but in the dream, it feels sort of like there's some sort of smoke is filling up the gym. And I can hear and barely see people, panicking, running to the exit. Feels like maybe it's a terrorist attack. I start running, trying to get to the exit, and it's getting harder and harder to breathe. Just as I'm kind of hyperventilating and succumbing to the toxic smoke, I joke awake. Very intense dream that stuck with me. A week later, in real, actual life, I'm working out at the gym, and boom, the lights and TV screens go out. It was an incredibly surreal moment where I thought about the dream again. I stood there stunned for about a moment, then realizing that the power just went out due to a thunderstorm. It came back on about 5 minutes later. I told the gym employee nearby that I dreamt about this. She laughed politely and probably thought I was insane, but it was really strange. Walking down the street where everyone just glitched out. You know how into the Spider-Verse those glitches happen? Well, this is what happened to me. I was on the sidewalk near my house, and all of a sudden, half of what was within my vision looked like I was seeing the world through green sunglasses. It only lasted probably less than a second, but I could not for the life of me explain it. It also happened one other time, but I can't remember it as well as the aforementioned experience. And someone says, might want to see a doctor, buddy. Sounds like an eye or neurological issue. The best I got is having some obscure song in my head and turning on the radio and that song is playing. Or discussing an old movie with a friend and coming home scrolling through the TV at 3 a.m. and you see that very same movie is playing. Just weird shit like that, really. In the book American Gods, there's a part where they talk about how there's a TV show you might want to start to watch. But every time you watch it, the TV, you see the same episode every time. I know it's happened to me several times. Similar patterns to what you're talking about. I was out on a deep-sea fishing boat just a few miles off Cape Canaveral before the space launch, or the shuttle launch. I hear this loud rumbling noise come across the water. Everyone heard it, and we all assumed it was the launch, but couldn't locate it. Then we see the shuttle climb out of its rocket trail exhaust into space, silently. This is not the order in which these things are supposed to happen, according to physics. This happened a couple of days ago, and I'm really hoping someone can tell me there's a perfectly logical explanation for it. I got a second monitor since class is online now. I was moving my floor lamp when the cement fell out of the bottom. Weird, but okay. I got the lamp from my aunt. I then grabbed another floor lamp from my guest room that I've had since like 2007, and as soon as I stepped through the threshold of my room, this floor lamp's bottom dropped out. Crazy. So I asked my significant other to borrow one that he's using. Guess that happened when I got to my place with it. Yep, that's right. The bottom fell out. This is going to be the most boring story on the thread. I can feel it. So there is clearly a glitch for the code in your room when you were bringing lamps into it. Sometimes certain events happen and I get the sudden feeling that I'm experiencing the exact same thing before. It's really weird and I do not know how to explain it properly. I sometimes wonder if it's a memory from the past. Edit. What the F you? Is this the upvotes and comments? Let me live my normal life, please. And they reply with, which I would have said, pretty common phenomena, and it's most often referred to as deja vu, a feeling of already experiencing the present moment. From what I understand, it's just a weird trick your brain does. I had recently watched an early episode of Criminal Minds where an arsonist would lock people in their homes before lighting the house on fire. For whatever reason, it kind of got to me. A night or two later, I woke up out of dead sleep and couldn't get that episode out of my mind, so I finally decided to just get up and check the front door. I swear I could not open the door. Unlocked it, but then it was totally stuck. I woke up my husband because I was so freaked out. He also tried and couldn't get the door open, and he's a big guy. I ended up climbing out the window just so I could push the door from the outside while he pulled from the inside. We finally got it open. I didn't watch Criminal Minds for a long time after that. Edit. Thank you all for the awards and upvotes. To answer some questions, I don't remember for sure, but I assume the door was wood, although not great quality since it was a rental. It's totally possible that the door had a door jamb, had swollen, and that was my husband's theory too. However, we didn't have problems with it before or after that when we lived there for like 2 years. The thing that freaked me out most was that I woke up for no apparent reason with that episode on my mind, and that just happens to be the night my door is stuck. Also, yes, I accidentally typed lightning. That's what I get for posting on my phone. I saw two pretty best friends. Strange coincidences and moments where I have a sudden understanding I'm completely in the exact time and place I was supposed to be in, and everything that ever happened in my life has led me to that exact moment. And someone replied with, I call them flashbulb moments. Mine are these instances of total understanding, connection to everything, zap, poof, and back to the groceries. Driving through Michigan, I saw a green orb sitting in the middle of the sky. Then all of a sudden it moved very quickly past the horizon. I was with a friend. We were both quiet after seeing it until she finally said, Am I crazy, or did you just see that weird green orb too? Now, I do believe that we are not alone in the universe, but I generally do not believe that there are lots of aliens or UFO visitations. But this sticks with me to this day. Edit. To answer some questions, having a hard time doing this one by one, but holy cow, this blew up. This happened 10 years ago, give or take. I'm not super familiar with Michigan, but we did drive north for a while, so it could be up. The Paulding light seems possible, but this light was high in the sky, not along the roadway. I remember looking up through my windshield at it. Not sure if that makes a difference, though I would love for it to be that, because my brain kind of hates having a UFO story. Dreams or deja vu. I will have deja vu moments and freeze in task, like I have seen this one scene play out before and already knew what was going to happen next. Took 15 years of this happening and lots of journal to realize these deja vu moments come from dreams. When I was a kid, my mom and I were sitting at a red light. The car in front of us went on red while the other side was turning. The car T-boned a vehicle that had a boat on the trailer. The boat flew off the trailer and was heading straight toward our car. It was going to crash straight through our windshield. My mom screamed at me to bend forward as far as I could so it wouldn't decapitate me. At the very last second, the boat turned left and scraped the side of our car. It turned so abruptly, like a big invisible hand just turned it on for us. Wind, could be said, but there was no wind. Just a gorgeous day where a boat would have killed or very seriously maimed us and turned at the last second out of nowhere. Edit. Wasn't expecting so many replies. I also wasn't looking for someone to solve this, but sharing what happened. The reply to some of the comments at once. I'm not religious, never said God saved me. We were in a car without airbags. I didn't end up bending forward. I was frozen in shock. The boat wasn't skidding on the ground towards us. It was in the air. Yes, I know memories can change. Nevertheless, this is how I remember it all happening. As a young teen, my friend and I were playing with a Ouija board. Being a cautious virgin, I asked for the name of the first girl I would sleep with, and spelled out the name Nancy. Neither of us knew anyone named Nancy, so we both laughed and moved on. I didn't touch a Ouija board again for 3 years later, at a house party. We were all taking turns asking it silly questions. One person in the group was a girl I had just met that evening. Her name was Nancy, and you can probably imagine how that night ended. Very, very weird. My grandpa died, and after about a year or two, my baby brother went looking for him in my grandpa's room. My parents thought I was with him. He was laughing and babbling, and seemed entertained, which, knowing him, would be if someone else were there. But I was in the room, and my parents were downstairs. 30 minutes goes by. Parents start looking for him, and find him just sitting there. He's not playing with anything in the room, just lying there. Now, he still goes into that room, looking at him. I wonder if he had seen a ghost or something like that. I swear my 4-year-old can read my mind, or we think on the same wavelength sometimes. I've randomly thought of a specific food, i.e., ice cream, which we rarely have, and he can ask me, can we go get ice cream? Or I'll be thinking about my mom and he'll ask, can we go to grandma's? So this still baffles me, but when I was a kid, we had moved into a new house while the realtor was showing us around the house. I saw a lady sitting at a white dresser in a pink room, and she even waved at me, but when I asked my mom who that was, she just brushed me off because she was trying to listen to the realtor. The weird thing is that there were no rooms painted pink in the house, and my family just played it off, despite me being adamant of what I saw. Anyway, fast forward a few years, and I'm in high school at this point, and we start renovating the house, and while stripping the wallpaper in the master bedroom, we found out that it was painted pink at some time. Still low-key freaks me out. Edit, just to clarify and provide more info. This happened on the day we moved in. I was not looking through the door. I was actually looking at a wall when I saw this. On the other side of the wall I was looking at. It was the master bedroom, but we had passed the door to that room. When we discovered the paint, it was actually a few year coats back. So there was wallpaper, white paint, a minty green color, and then the coat of pink paint. Lastly, the lady was pretty young. I would guess in her 30s, as far as I know, but no one had died on the property. I have dreams of events that will happen. The future, sometimes. Several times a year, I'll suddenly get a thought that it's been a long time, usually months, since I last spoke with a particular friend or relative. Then I get a voice call or an email from that person within a few hours. Can't explain it. I will never tell them this because I fear losing that strange thing that I have. Nobody else? Anybody else have this? I think what I experienced was like woke up and did not at the same time. One side of my eye, the right precisely, was completely pitch black, and I felt that at the time it was passing very fast, while on the left side I was waked up, and seeing my room and time felt normal. It lasted only a few seconds. After that I left bed and everything was normal. I told a few friends about what was happening to see if they passed by something similar, but apparently no one had been through anything like that. Sorry for any errors. I'm not fluent in English. Fluent in English. I was in traction in hospital. A guy who said he worked maintenance came into my room to repair the light above the shower. I was in traction and could never leave the bed I was in. We joked sarcastically how the light would have been so handy for me. He asked what happened to me, and I told him about the terrible industrial accident. Oh, he told me about the terrible industrial accident he was in. He said he would come back and visit me and bring photos of the injuries that the doctor said would leave him unable to walk. Same diagnosis I had been given. He did come back with photos, and we had a good talk. I felt very encouraged when he left. The next few days I told different staff members about this nice young man. They all told me that no one with that name worked maintenance in the hospital. They had not heard of him, and said maintenance was not working on our hospital floor that day, or the whole week. Driving with the hubby, and I see a bunch of bikers having a cookout. Out of the blue, and I don't know why I said this. People look down on bikers, but I bet if the house across the street catches fire, these men would run in to save that little old lady. And I pointed to the house. This was the first time I'd ever driven down that street. We just moved to the neighborhood. My husband and I weren't even talking, but listening to music. That night, at 2 a.m. that morning, the house that I pointed to burned down, and an elderly woman died. Edit, thanks for the awards. You were all hilarious. Let me explain some things. I am not psychic, just amazingly good at reading scenes in front of me. Mall kidnappings of kids were big when I was a toddler. My mom was terrified that I would be kidnapped, and before I could even remember this, she always made me describe my surroundings to her. My husband's stop it comment was him telling me to stop freaking him out. I weirded him out with my predictions in the past. Active duty U.S. Army here. Sometimes we have to pull 24-hour shifts. Our duties, just part of life. For the most part, it's sitting at a desk and answering a phone. Well, I'm 17 minutes from getting off my shift. A few hours ago, I had to step outside to salt the stairs because it's snowing. I had the door propped open with my chair. My number 2 guy is away doing checks on another building. This chair is sturdy oak. Pretty heavy, not going anywhere without some effort. Anyway, I'm clearing the snow and salting the ground. Turn around and the chair is upside down. Not alone. Carry on to cause the ghost don't like being looked at. Get done, and the chair is now sideways. I say, okay, Mr. Ghost, I don't want to bother you, but I have to go inside now. I walk inside and bring the chair with me. See empty trash can on top of my desk that wasn't there earlier. Say, look, Mr. Ghost, I get out of here soon. Can you please? Black shape runs down the hall, and I hear a whisper in my ear, yes. Proceed to freak out internally, say thank you, and go back to watching Community on Netflix. This was in Germany. This actually happened last night. So I went to the bathroom, and outside the door I hear someone talking. No big deal since I have siblings, but that's when I hear this effing sniffing. This caught me off guard since the dogs are in the kitchen. So I stay there for a while more while I hear someone walk by the door. Maybe it's Grandma. No, I would hear her cane. Then I hear the sniffing again. Anyway, that's how I end up staying in the bathroom for about 20 minutes. I was driving to work on a 2-lane highway, and I was going about 65 in a 45 zone when for some reason I got the feeling that I should slow down. I don't know why that thought came into my head, as I was a young douchebag who sped all the time, but it was strong enough that I let off the gas and slowed down the speed limit right there. Like 30 seconds later, a guy in a pickup pulled out of a parking lot right in front of me. I got on the brakes and still T-boned him hard enough to knock the bed clean off of his truck and totaled both vehicles. Neither of us were injured. It's hard to say what effect another 20 miles would have had on that, though. I had a baby bottle next to me on the couch while holding my baby. I reached for it, and it wasn't there, so I got up and searched everywhere. Tore out the cushions and put them back, then gave up and made a new bottle. I sat back down, and the bottle was there again. ETA. Many are calling it baby brain or something. I had the bottle in my hand, but remember I had tore off the couch cushions where the bottle was sitting and went to make another bottle. I could have had the bottle in my hand, and after tearing the couch up, I shouldn't have found the bottle undisturbed in the original place. When I was probably 14, I had a paper route. Once my cousin slept over the night before and delivered them with me. There was a wooded area in the backyard, and when we opened the garage door to leave that morning, there was a strange noise coming from there. To this day, we don't know how to describe it other than it was just sounded like a pterodactyl. It was this extremely loud squawking, it seemed. Scared the S out of us. We went back inside and left out the front. The left door could still hear it from down the street. Neither of us ever heard it again. So strange, and we have no idea what it was. So there's this band called Birthday Massacre that a weeb introduced me to in 7th grade. They were Japanese and spoke Japanese and seemed all around weird. Watched some of their videos for a few months. Forgot about them. 6 years later, while listening to them again, except all their music was in English. Watched the videos, same thing, the band is white. Still have no clue what the F happened there. I have such vivid dreams that I feel as though I'm awake during them, even though I'm actually not lucidly dreaming. I ended up waking up, remembering everything that happened in the dream and feeling tired from all the work and thinking that all that I had to do in the dream. A cassette tape skipped while I was driving through town. It jumped from one song to the middle of another. Boyfriend, his sister, and I visit their cousin and his roomie to cook dinner and hang out. The television is on and a movie channel with the sound turned down. While we're prepping and eating dinner, a Robert Duvall movie is on. Shortly after dinner, the sister takes the boyfriend home because he's not feeling well. At this time, a different movie is playing, also starring Robert Duvall. I sit down in the living room, look at the screen, and say, Robert Duvall again, huh? What is this, Robert Duvall night? About 5 minutes later, the sister returns. We greet her, get fresh drinks, and she sits down where I had been sitting, looks at the screen, and says, Robert Duvall again, huh? What is this, Robert Duvall night? With the exact same inflection and tone I had just used. Cousin Rumi and I all almost jumped out of our skins. I had an ex who had been charged with hefty offenses like forcible confinement, robbery, possession of illegal firearm, extortion, etc. I received a subpoena to testify at his trial. Cops showed up at my mom's place, where they were previously living, to issue it, but I wasn't there to pick it up, so the official document from the police station, signed that I received it and everything. I showed up on the day of the trial, obviously nervous as shit, to find out that from the prosecutor that she wasn't even sure who subpoenaed me. According to her, she never issued it. I asked my ex's lawyer to which they also replied they hadn't issued the subpoena either. The prosecutor then asked the supervisor of the police division because it didn't come from either of them. It must have come from the police division, right? Wrong. The police officer and prosecution both apologized for having me come all the way down to the courthouse, just for no one to know who exactly subpoenaed me. I didn't end up testifying that day, nor did I find out the fate of my ex. Till this day, I still don't know. I did receive strange calls from strange numbers a little while after that, but that's a story for another day. Around when I was in middle school, I went to a friend's house to hang out, and their mother pulled out a Ouija board. This particular one was marked towards speaking with angels, for us to use for fun. There was about 5 or 6 of us using it and asking it various questions. When it was my turn, I chose to see if I could speak with my father, who had passed away some years prior. I decided to ask questions that no one else in the room would possibly know, and the board gave me the correct answer each time. I'm not religious in the slightest, and have a more than healthy level of skepticism. The same could be said when I was that age as well. So I decided to remove my hand from the board because I knew it was possible that I could be subconsciously moving it to the right place. I kept asking it a couple more questions, and it keeps giving the correct answer. So I'm pretty freaked out at this point and chose to try to rationalize what happened in my head. The next kid starts asking questions about one of his dead relatives, and it tells him in detail about their death that he didn't know about, but it sounded pretty plausible. At least he seemed to think so, as he locked himself into the bedroom after that in hysterics. I don't know what happened in that house that day, but it was the closest I've ever come to what I would call a supernatural experience. Alright, we're going to stop that video right there. I may do another one later on, because there's a lot of comments on this thread. So I hope you have enjoyed listening and watching us. Please leave a like, a comment, a share, a subscribe, any of those things, none of those things, all of the things. You do you, boo. But thanks again, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.